Footy's back. That's right. It is the AFL Today show once more. G'day. I'm Caroline Wilt. No, I don't hate Clarko. I'm Jaymz Clements. I'm your host of AFL Today and, of course, the official SuperCoach AFL podcast and, of course, NBA Australia as well. I'm joined, as always, for this one-stop shop all about the greatest game in the world, AFL footy. A couple of local weirdos, full-blown footy nuffs, AFL experts. I use that pretty loosely.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
We've got Alex Donnelly over there.
I'm just happy that the season is legitimately beginning. All games this week. It's going to be awesome.
Round one.
Yeah, you're just happy that your Swans won in round zero.
So you're happy your Blues won in round zero?
Kidding? I'm stoked. I've been flying on like cloud nine since Friday night. Yeah. It's been fantastic. Seriously, I don't know how to start a season on a winning vibe ever. This is great. Speaking of which, doesn't win many games. Stats boy. What's going on, Stats guy?
I am excited that North is back. I am not excited that we have to play the Giants, but I'm happy that my team actually is playing this week because round zero.
You may as well not turn up.
But yeah, if they can smash Collingwood, I'm very nervous.
Settle down. But that's right. This is the round one Midweek Madness episode between round zero and round one, because why not? But we are going to be talking about the midweek winner of the week. What else? We've got a bunch of yeah-nahs, which we'll literally just post some questions, go back and forth.
Yep.
We'll have a couple of big calls, and we'll talk out Thursday night footy, because our Thursday evening show will be when teams are announced, and that will then lead into Thursday night footy. So we'll cover that every Wednesday. But remember, before anything else, AFL Today show, you can find it on YouTube, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your podcast apps, whatever you need. And of course, across all the socials, presumably. So get around it as much as you can. But the thing is, footy's back. That means amazing midweek winners of the week, a.k.a. geez, how can we spin out some news into something weird? I love a good...
We love that.
The AFL news cycle, and this is why we're doing a Wednesday show. The AFL news cycle is psychotic. It just goes bing, 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 bing. What are we talking about? Umpires. D-list half your team. I don't care. They were so bad they should fire everybody and just sit the entire year out. Just move them to Tassie. Like it's literally, you can play bingo. AFL psycho nuffs in round zero.
Dustin Martin of Gold Coast.
That's not a bad
Dustin
one.
Martin North. But yeah, Gold Coast.
Yeah.
But midweek winner of the week, for me, not Mason Cox.
No.
Very easy.
Start of the week.
I mean, that did fill a lot of lines in papers. You know, everyone hit their word limit that they needed to hit this week, so good on everyone.
Well, the GWS social media account just hit their KPIs for the entire season.
They are so good.
In 1 week. And he crushes it.
Really
I did enjoy the Collingwood fans going, oh, good luck this week when you don't have Austral on. It's like they could say anything in round 13 and they'll get you.
Yes. It's a big, big sound. But I think my midweek winner of the week was probably the combo of George Blewett Hewitt and Lachie Neale not being suspended for their little fracas. Now, I have also heard, this is turning into vent sesh. We have also heard that
this was also my idea.
Yeah.
This Hewitt one.
That's true.
William, you threw it out there.
Yeah.
I've got thoughts.
James just wants to vent about it.
Thoughts.
I'm surprised.
They weren't suspended. It was like a glancing, like the Hewitt one, it was like very clearly like, I'm going to hit you, bang, and it glanced up and caught Neale in the face. Neale had a bit of a flop, but he was also punching. Now, the AFL is very much trying their hardest to litigate this out of the game, which is completely fair, and they should.
Yeah, you don't want
100% for
random
it.
punches every now and then.
I don't know. It's, you got to be tough. It's like, I don't know.
That's 2 weeks, I reckon.
My vibe is you can be tough without punching another person. That's what I teach my 5-year-old. So you can be tough without punching people. It's like, yeah, but it's a lot tougher too. It's like, no, it's not. Even though it might be at school. But don't punch anyone at school.
Yeah.
And so we've gotten to this point. The fact that they've both been fined, fine, it's cool. Happy days with that. So I think for Hewitt and for Neale to both not be rubbed out for a week, it's huge for the Blues to have Hewitt when they've lost Doc. And for Neale, trying to go for a 3-time Brownlow winner.
Yeah, they need him.
They desperately need him this week as well. So I think they're my midweek winners of the week. How are your vibes on that, gentlemen, quickly?
I think Hewitt should have been suspended and Neale should have been fined.
It slipped. It just slipped.
He still hit him we've got all we're trying to bring out a takeaway from hitting people in the head and the face, and he's literally punched him in the jaw.
Well, you should have been.
And the fact that
Maynard should have been suspended for 4 months.
But the fact that it's great.
They looked to go, what's the charge? Yeah, he's braided Maynard. They went, Yeah, 4 months.
Yeah, it should be
done.
4 months.
But the fact that he's intentionally punched him and they've graded it as careless, like the whole grading
yeah.
of intentional and
It was
careless.
careless 'cause he
There's
slipped.
Yeah, but he intentionally punched him. So
Well, this slip.
exactly.
It
I'll
slipped
agree
up
with
his arm
Alex.
because Neil was so greased
but
up.
he still hit him in the face. For doing that with the closed fist, give him a week.
Incidental contact play on.
If you just did that walking down the street, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with Alex on this one. Maybe not a week, but definitely it should have been some fines. So.
Well, no, it was
They got fined.
a
That's fine.
Well, then we should have got
$3,500
a week
fine.
then. If they already got a...
That's why they're the midweek winners of the week because they
But
didn't get
Laura Kane said on the couch that, if this was 50 metres up the field away from the footy, we would have got him a week. It's like, well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
It's still a punch in the face.
boring. Yeah, Nas, let's do it. Should the AFL continue with round 0 in 2025, gentlemen? Yeah, nah, Alex.
Nah, just make it round 1 and do it up in Sydney.
Yeah, round 0, I think if you had all 18 teams involved and just have it all north, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And just call it round 1.
Or also play a game here on the Sunday night and the Monday afternoon.
As we said on Sunday night's show for Monday morning, just have one. Just start the season,
start it there.
the Labor Day weekend in
could-
Victoria. People are
Even-
going to watch anyway. Doesn't matter. We're all starved of footy. Give us more footy.
Even if you start at the same week that we usually have, and you want to start
Nah,
in
do it
Sydney
the public
and
holiday weekend.
I don't mind
Public
about that.
holiday
Just have every
weekend.
team because it's just
Stats
a weird
guy, how
start.
good would it have been on Monday afternoon going to the footy?
Oh, that's what I did say that on the Sunday show.
Or
yeah.
Sunday night.
But they just need to rejig it.
Counterpoint, going to the pub on Monday
Well,
afternoon
that too.
to watch another game that's up north. I don't
Yeah,
care.
I don't mind that as well. Yeah.
To be honest, I think it's fine if they have them up in Sydney, up in Queensland.
Yeah.
Happy days. And then we just get the Monday off and we can just keep watching footy.
Well, they got a public holiday.
have a back-to-back on the Monday.
Grand
That'd be
final there,
awesome.
so
Let's
they
go.
can- AFL can sort out another
Take
public
over
holiday.
Suncorp. That'd be even funnier. Jim, it's not shaped the right way. We'll make it shaped the right way. Next one. Oh, actually, Stats Boy, did you want to say yeah or nah to round 0?
Oh, I'll say nah, but rejig a bit of different.
So
way
you're
to do it.
different because your team didn't play. So I feel like you have a different take compared to a lot of us.
Yeah, I just
me.
think a few more games at least, and yeah.
I tend to
Happy
think
stay
like you look
north.
at this and go, if you're an Essendon fan, you should be, or a Geelong fan, like it's like even the Hawks.
Sunday
like,
was boring.
Huge, big
Clubs.
teams
Yeah.
with no games, while the other ones are just like, hello, we're up north. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Next one, is it right to over/underreact to 1 week of footy? Yeah, nah, Stats Boy.
Nah, massive nah. Everyone is overreacting.
Coward.
Everyone
yes.
is no.
Always
don't
overreact.
I feel like you are bloody Kane Corns and all of them on Footy
How
Classified.
dare you
Everyone's
use me
overreacting.
in that same sentence?
You like to overreact sometimes. Richmond, everyone thinks Richmond are going to be bad. One game, we don't know what they're going to be like still. So I
They
think
were
everyone,
10 goals down at halftime.
I know,
They're
but it's
gonna
one
be
game.
bad.
Carlton were 8 goals.
So I'm going to go nah. Stop
not 10.
overreacting, everyone.
8 isn't 10, you're
Yeah.
right, Alex. Overreactions, yeah, nah.
I'm going to say yeah, because you can get a good vibe on it just by looking at how teams are going to play and if it's going to work or not. It's like, oh, that really hasn't worked. I think for a team like Collingwood, you're fine with letting them lose one game,
Yeah.
whereas with Richmond, it's like, nah, you stink.
Well, that's good
Just
because the
watching
next
how they-
question is the over-under action. Are Collingwood pretenders if they start 0-2? Yeah, nah.
Yeah, if you lose to Sydney at the MCG when you unfurl your premiership flag, after all week going, oh, no, round 0 didn't matter. It was just preseason. GWS were more prepped. We'll get back on track. If you lose to the Swans, who weren't great last year, who you've been talking about, we're just going to smash them. Everything's all great. We're back at home, the MCG, because we hate travelling. You're pretenders.
Or even if they lose this week, everyone's talking up Sydney. So I'm going to say nah. Even if they lose this week and they're 0-2, I reckon they'll bounce back. They've got
Coward.
such a good team.
I'm going to say,
I just want Matty S123 just yelling at me on Twitter.
I'm gonna say nah, they're not like pretenders, obviously.
No.
I would be worried.
Be worried, 100%.
Oh, yeah. It is concerning to lose 2 games in a row to start your season,
They
regardless of who
haven't
you are.
lost them yet. I'm just saying.
said
but
if.
It's like the simple idea of like, yeah, if that
They're gonna win.
forward line, if there are still
100%.
problems with that forward line, you'll have
Yeah.
like some
Well,
big questions.
I'm 100% tipping Collingwood, even though I'm a Swans fan. But if you do lose that game, there are some concerns because Craig McRae last week did look. He looked more angry than he'd ever looked at a
That's
game
true.
before.
He was more stressed than he was in the past because obviously they were losing by a lot.
More overreactions. Is it panic stations? Panic stations. Wham, wham, wham. If the D's go 0-2, this would be probably more panicky for me because they're playing the
Dogs, and they should beat the Dogs, yeah.
The Dogs are a team that you could if you said the Dogs are absolutely going to finish top 4, I'd be like no. And if you said
Definitely gonna finish 12th,
they're definitely
yeah.
going to finish 12th, you'd be like I can't say no to that either. Like you can't pin the Dogs anywhere. It's really weird.
I'm going to say yeah to this one. I'm not calling them, but I'm going to go yeah for the D's if they're 0-2, just because they should be beating the Dogs at the G. The Dogs have a shocking record at the G. They hardly ever play there. I think they're going to win pretty easy. And if they don't, I don't know. And then Clary doesn't go well. He did all right on the weekend. So
It was great.
yeah. So just I'm going to say yeah.
Panic stations. again, I think it might be just a bit of a worry because I think it's the same thing for both Collingwood and Melbourne if they both go 0-2. Like a lot of the big problems are around their forward lines specifically.
For me, it's a nah because one, I didn't think Melbourne were going to be much chopped this year anyway. I expected them to lose last week and they're coming up against a very good midfield this weekend.
I thought you had Melbourne as your wooden spooners. Right.
I think I had them 11th.
Are Gold Coast top 8 contenders if they beat Adelaide? I think almost by virtue of that, they almost, would have to be, right?
Because they're 2-0.
Well, I'm going to say yeah. I think I tipped Adelaide to be top 4. So if they beat Adelaide, I'll be like, oh, maybe Gold Coast are good. So it is going to be at home again, isn't it, for Gold Coast?
It is.
So,
that is Gold Coast, yeah.
Gold Coast at home over the last 2 or 3 years have been really good. I think we'll know more about Gold Coast when they're on the road.
And with Adelaide maybe not having Tex, it becomes a little bit trickier.
Oh, yeah, no Thrill Thorpe, yeah.
Tough ones.
No, Tex is not 100% out yet. So we'll wait and see on that.
But Walk didn't train today.
He could also just not train because he's 400
old,
years old. So
probably like Boomer Harvey.
It's like, Jim, do you want to train today? No. I'm really old and everything hurts.
I want to hold on this one. I want to see how Gold Coast are in a month.
You can't hold on a nah.
Just nah.
Simple as that. Look at this coward over
Yeah.
there. Oh, can I say maybe, please?
I had Gold Coast 8th in my ladder.
Gold Coast in your 8, so you should say yeah.
Well, I believe they're top 8 contenders, so
okay, good.
Are Collingwood fans the worst? I think this. You've just thrown this in. Where did this come from? How's this a nah? It's like, well, yeah, but also
you didn't finish reading the full thing.
/ most insufferable. You're basically just piling in on Collingwood fans
on social media.
I'll give you that.
Social media.
I think it's just because they've got such a big number of fans that the amount on social media is going to be more because they've got so many fans.
I don't follow any of them, and all I see is them complaining about playing one game in Sydney. You travelled once. Shut up.
I tend to feel like Collingwood fans are probably the more visible because there are so many.
There's so many,
So maybe just by virtue of the volume of them, they become insufferable.
But also Collingwood fans, follow our show, please.
Please have a crack at Stats Boy. He loves it. And then finally, question, is Kitty Coleman the AFL's best nickname? And speaking of, is Brizzy now done as a legit contender this year?
Who threw that in there?
Jeez. That was a Barb's one. That's a Barb's Barb.
That's a new segment.
Done as a legit contender. It's 1 week. It's Kitty Coleman.
I'm going to say nah.
Nah, and also nah to him being the best nickname.
Yeah, not the best nickname, and also nah to them being done as legit contenders because McKenna's still going to come back, Ashcroft's still going to come back, Tom
Not
Duday.
even about who's going to come back. It's 1 week. They're up by 46. There was a bit of a blip. They should have kicked a bit straight up.
Basically still nearly beat. Like it's a Harry Mackay kicking a game-winning goal.
Yep.
On a set shot.
Which is rare.
And Carlton somehow managed to win that game.
It was a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
And because the best nickname in the AFL is very clearly Nick Suva Larkin.
Yes.
The human meatball, damn Presti is a pretty good one. What's Laird, the desk?
The
Rory
desk,
Laird.
As he is short, as he is wide. That's what he's apparently called.
And Nick the Lizard Blakey.
The Lizard's good. I like these lizards. I like that.
I do miss David Mundy. Barra.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bit of a shame.
I think we talked about Brucey Doyle on the Supercoach one, the Flying Doormat. That's a great one.
All right, big calls for this week, gentlemen. 1 big call for each of us very quickly. Mason Cox he's just gone and dropped it. Mason Cox is dropped by round 4.
Oh, we're never getting Collingwood people on this show.
And doesn't play again this year. Talk about big calls and overreactions. Mason Cox's sheer ineptitude last week.
He was horrible.
Like, it does turn into this weird thing of like, it's going to take
He got dropped in the middle of last year too.
Exactly, right? So this is the point. I do wonder if like there's going to be a point where just the sheer structure of Collingwood, the way they operate, they go, I don't know if we can do this anymore.
He's been too slow.
But he's the secondary ruckman that they need, unless they bring, Reef McInnes back in.
It's going to be tricky.
Not as a ruck, but yeah.
Anyway, Alex.
Brisbane to win by 12 or more goals on Sunday against Freo. Big bounce back game over in Perth. They will come out and they will blitz them.
They did play an awesome game over there in Perth last year.
They did, that's right, yeah. Oh, that's a big goal. 12 goals.
Big bounce. Oh, Lachie Neale came out and was like, we were absolutely horrendous in this. Like, he just talked absolute rubbish about his team and basically gave them all a spray in the media. I'm like, oh yeah, Freo are in trouble. And I also think that the teams that played last week do have a distinct advantage over the teams who are opening their season.
Yeah.
To channel a bit of Charles Barkley, I don't know Fremantle, but I know Fremantle's in trouble. Stats man, what have you got for your big call?
Bit of Aaron Cadman. We talked him up last week. He took a few big grabs for the Giants on the weekend. I think he's going to kick his first bag of 5 against North. I'm very worried.
You've been talking about this for literally 3 weeks.
I know. I haven't really got to say it on the show. I've got him in my Supercoach just for that reason, because if he doesn't kick 5, he's not going to get a very good Supercoach score.
He's cut.
But the tall, we don't have hardly any tall defenders at North. You got Toby Pink, might take Jesse Hogan or Jake Riccardi. He's the third or fourth option in that forward line because you got Callum Brown, who obviously killed it. You got so many weapons in that forward line. Cameron's going to be like, I don't even really have an opponent. My guy, like just say Shees or Fisher or a few of the other smaller guys, are just going to be up the field. He's going to have so much space. So Cameron to kick a bag of 5.
That's a really good call. I love this game. It's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
Like you would never have thought that.
Is the margin fascinating?
Yeah, the margin's not going to be fascinating.
Are we expecting to see something from North Melbourne?
We will learn a lot about both teams.
I think we might be able to like stay in it for a half and then just the second half they'll just blow us out.
Nice one.
Yep.
Thursday night football.
Ooh.
Thursday night football. Can't wait. Carlton, Richmond. We did a live stream of this one last year and it got very weird very quickly.
Did we do a live stream? I thought we did it on the Friday night for Collingwood Geelong.
We did it for the Friday
Collingwood
night,
Geelong.
Yeah, when Jeremy Cameron kicked that mad banana on the run.
Yes.
We did Carlton Geelong.
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't do a live stream for that one last year.
And then we did Carlton in Adelaide when Adelaide kicked 10 goals in the first quarter.
That didn't happen. Richmond, Carlton. Carlton, obviously, having played last week. Richmond having played last week. Carlton are actually the home team, I believe. Which doesn't really matter when you play a team like Richmond at the G. It's basically going to be split 50-50 kind of vibes. Probably a few more Carlton fans because they're up and about and the Tigers are like, well, we've already won some flags. We're all right.
Yeah.
But it is a big season opener here at the MCG in Victoria. 15.5-point favourites are the Blues. Does that feel right, gentlemen?
I
Feels
think it
low.
could be. Yeah, it feels low. Yeah. I think all
very
of our
low.
picks that we'll get into are a bit higher than that.
Our picks are a little bit higher than that, but at the same time, Carlton, even in the big win streak last year, weren't exactly blowing the doors off teams.
No.
It's much more the go to sleep,
Yeah.
and just kick enough to win kind of approach. So speaking of which, from last year, Carlton were the 4th best defense in the AFL at 73.8 points a game versus Richmond's pretty paltry 13th at 86.2.
86 is a lot, yeah.
And the Tigers were only 11th on offense as well, right? 80.7.
Tom
per
Lynch
game.
didn't-
Tom Lynch
didn't
didn't
help.
play.
It didn't, yeah, he was out, so that didn't help, yeah.
And the Blues were 9th. That was much lower for the first half
You
of
were
the
averaging
season.
like 60 at the halfway point of the year.
So I think once Carlton lost to Melbourne and Sydney
Essendon.
and Essendon in the
You're
middle of
probably
the
the
year,
best
it was like
offense,
probably bottom 2 offense. And they managed to bump that all the way up to 9th thanks to, I don't know, feasting on the likes. I think there was a big win.
You smashed Gold Coast once.
and
You
stuff
smashed
like that.
West Coast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the West Coast game especially at
That was massive.
Marvel. We have some returning names for the Tigers, though. Lynch, Martin, Nank
Possibly.
may
Yeah.
return. We still don't. Lynch might be on a minutes restriction. We're not entirely sure
Really?
what's going to
Oh,
happen.
That's a weird one.
Feels like an NBA game.
Yeah, I know. That doesn't.
Bit of load
You
management.
can't do that in AFL, can you? Oh,
Kevin De Bruyne has been doing it.
yeah, true.
They played a tough 58 draw last
Oh, that was
year.
disgusting.
God, it was gross.
Everybody came out of there going, really?
that was the worst.
Talk about, crap opening games. Like, I know Sydney and Melbourne wasn't great last year. This was worse.
It was the first game I ever watched where I'm like, they both
checks
deserved
out.
a draw because they were both.
No one deserved to
No-
win.
no winner.
Somehow you're both losers, but also not.
Yeah.
The Blues have won their last 6 of the G, but only one of their last 14
Yeah, I
against
chucked
the
that in there.
Tigers.
One of the last 14 against the Tigers
That's
is horrible.
not great.
Maybe that's why the line's not massive because the Carlton fans are going, ooh.
No, well, it's more of a bookmaker that
But yeah,
creates the
yeah.
lines that they would take their heart out of it.
But a lot of those games were in the chunk of where Richmond won a lot.
Where
of
Richmond were good and Carlton
So,
were rubbish.
yeah.
The over-under is 164.5. I'd probably still lean towards the under just because Carlton's defense, the G on a Thursday night, the Tigers haven't looked wildly imposing on offense, and the Blues, even though with McAllion and Curnow showing up pretty nicely last week, it still wasn't exactly like blow the doors off a team. Was it 85-86
Yep.
last week for Carlton?
Wasn't a
Brisbane?
massive score.
Yeah.
And we did see Gold Coast tear up the Tigers, but then they came sort of flying back and then, had their colours lowered again. I'd probably lean towards the under of the 164.5. I think it would just be a bit of an arm wrestle. How about you there, Alex, with the over-under?
I'll lean towards the over just because I think, given that Gold Coast hit, 99, they kicked 14 goals, 15 with a fair few out in the full. I think Carlton's forward line is better and they could blow the doors off it.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Alex on this one. I'm usually go the under in this one, but I think Carlton can kick 100 points at least in this game because Richmond are just horrible. If Gold Coast can kick that many points, I believe Carlton can, especially if Harry Mackay's firing because he was unstoppable last week. So I'm gonna go the over. I reckon Richmond will get around that 60 to 80 sort of mark, and if Carlton are getting 100 points, then that's well over.
Carlton making 100 points, though, is always going to be my big question.
Yeah.
Happened very few
Didn't
and
happen
far
very
between
often, yeah.
last year. So,
But I think, what do they get? They got 86 against Brisbane, who are a really good team. Richmond,
all right,
reckon they can do
tip Who's going to win this one? I am going to tip my beloved Blues. I think they have just enough. I think the way that this game rolls out is that Carlton, we saw some really good midfield pressure from the Blues in the second half of last game. Brisbane's midfield does have these like weird blips though every so often where it just goes a little bit haywire. Like you just sort of see it. And defensive pressure in the midfield was the big question mark for Carlton last year because with Wiedering down back last season, you at least always had that last sort of stand, which is always
when
good.
It's coming in, yeah.
And then once we've got no Wiedering for the first 4 weeks at least, it's going to come down to a lot of like the types of Kennedy, Hewitt and stuff like that. Chera, not exactly defensively minded Chera, did put in like some incredible efforts last week where he did actually play a bit of defense. You're like, this is what I want.
Every week. Yeah.
So I'm going the Blues, 31 points. I think it just sort of, they make me sweat this one out because that's the only way they're going to do anything all year, I think. Alex?
Big win for Carlton, 52 points.
Jeez.
I'm
52.
very low on Richmond. With Dusty and Nank and Tom Lynch coming back in, they've still got to blow some rust off the doors there. And if Carlton hit the ground running like the way they finished the game last week, this game could be over very, very quickly.
Stats guy?
I'm going to go Carlton by 25. This early in the season, as you already mentioned, I don't think I can trust Carlton to smash a team just yet. Maybe we'll find out on the weekend if they actually do that. But yeah, I'm going to go them by 25 just because this matchup always is pretty close. And I reckon Carlton might be like Collingwood across the last few years where they make you, as a Carlton supporter, sweat it out and get a lot of really close wins and match sort of the opposition. They might drop a bit because Richmond are bad. Then they'll rise because Brisbane are good and things like that. So, yeah.
Interesting. I'm just tearing chunks out of my beard basically throughout this season. Quick look at the SuperCoach setup before the rolling lockouts hit on Thursday night. Remember, you've only got to have Carlton Richmond locked in for your rolling lockout for Thursday evening. We'll be doing our Thursday night show as well. But before we get into that, just like the real sort of broad strokes, it is a chaos SuperCoach year. Go listen to the SuperCoach official podcast. There's some really great rookie names out there. There's plenty of rookie options, which is the best thing about SuperCoach this year. But before anything else, we just want to hit on 3 big things. Ruck duo. Who are we going here?
Well, who are you going, Alex?
I'm going Briggsy and Grundy, the Sydney boys. I don't want to pick Gawn after what I saw last week, and I think Grundy will rise very quickly in price, which may allow me to get Tinglish later on. Also depending on how Riley O'Brien starts at Adelaide, and I thought that Briggsy was great last week against Darcy Cameron.
He was.
So he could have a dad. I don't even know who North Melbourne's ruckman is.
Cherry.
No.
Cherry's actually pretty solid, but Briggsy could have he's a bit bigger.
GWS and Sydney's run after this week is very good.
That sort of goes back to a big call that I thought about putting in there that we'll get a GWS Sydney grand final.
They could be unbeaten when they play
Battle
each
of
other
the
in round
Bridge,
7.
Granny.
Imagine that.
That'd be pretty cool.
Nearly had it.
How about your rock duo there, Stats guy?
I still think you got to pick Gawn. I know he wasn't great last week. I said this on the weekend. I think there's only probably a couple of ruckmen. You'd say he's playing English this week. I still think I'd back Gawn just to still get a decent score against English. The only guy that's going to demolish him, I think, with that plan is Grundy, just because he's an absolute freak. So I think you got to pick Gawn. He's going to still average that 120 plus, I reckon. But
I think
we'll have to wait and see.
Gawn is a threat like each week still just to go, he's 160 on your head.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
It would just be interesting, though. I think that a lot of the media's talked about it. Alex talked about it, how they were getting into Gawn. If teams do that, then I'll have second guesses. But I think he's still too good not to pick.
I think there's better options just around than picking Gawn to start with.
I don't know, but that price point is pretty great.
He's not, too expensive, so I don't mind him.
Righto, captain for this week. Mine is Tom Green, just lock and load.
Not even a vice captain? Just straight onto Tom Green?
Until he sort of actually proves me otherwise.
Yeah.
You do have like the vice, and you can also go Tom Green as vice into your Sunday games, which is like Trark and Bont.
Yep.
If you need to, but I think I'd feel pretty okay just Tom Green riding him as my captain. You
should always go vice captain.
You got to go the vice. You can always throw that on Dacos, who's playing Friday night, of course.
Yep.
I don't know. You could go the Heen man if you want to really roll the dice.
Grundy's
as well.
not a bad one. Yeah.
It's not a bad.
Grundy's my vice captain with Tom Green as captain.
Nice.
Don't mind that.
But I feel like Tom Green is going to be the price that you just want to have floating around, whether it be vice to loophole. And that's all you're always going to remember, your loophole as well for round 1. Like, even though you're not really going head to head, we're still going for overall. Just
exactly.
Keep an eye on that. Got to have your 0 on the bench somewhere. But draft, SuperCoach draft. So you've got SuperCoach draft. We've just gone through our big one. This will be up for you to watch on YouTube and associated other sort of social platforms. Best strategy stats guy. How did you read the draft? I came away absolutely laughing. I love my team.
I love my team as well.
It's going to be awesome. Don't worry about that. But I also picked number 3. So I was able to snag Tinglish because we had number 1, I think we had Dacos go.
Yep.
Number 2 was Bont.
Yeah, I picked
So
Bont
I got
too.
Tinglish at 3, so I already had my ruck sorted, so I didn't have to worry too much about that.
I think you did well with that.
I went light on them with the mids and sort of invested a little bit for my D1 and my F1. So I don't know.
I think mids and ruck I think are the most important in draft because they're the best players. They're going to get the biggest score. So if you got 2 or 3 good mids and you got a good ruck, you're pretty much going to win every week in fantasy. In SuperCoach draft.
It's still fantasy.
Yeah, it's still a fantasy. So yeah, I think who did I have as my ruck? Darcy Cameron. I think he had a really good week, so I got him pretty early, and then I had Gordon and Dawson early as well, which I was very happy with. Yeah, the first couple of picks.
Yeah, Alex.
I went. I'd picked 2, so I picked Bont as soon as I could. Once he was available. Then I went, Briggsy was my second pick in the ruck, but I've got Rosie, Cogs, and Chad Warner in my midfield. My forward line is horrendous, but I'm banking on my midfield.
You're also sweating bullets and somehow took Nat Fyfe in draft. So absolutely horrible gear. I've never seen...
I didn't pick Sean Darcy with my second pick.
I've got 2 small children, and I've not seen someone pack their DAX as much as you did in that draft. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, that is it for AFL Today. We'll be back on Thursday evening for when teams are announced. We'll be going basically from then and to have a show out Thursday evening for you on the audio, and then you'll be able to see the videos on Friday. But thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
And thank you to Stats Guy.
Thank you.
And remember to smash a like across all the socials for AFL Today to see all the stuff that we do. There's a lot of SuperCoach gear going up as well. So smash it on Facey, IG, X, Threads, TikTok, and of course YouTube, where you can see our smiling faces. And you can subscribe, star, and like all of our shows. That's right. The Cricket Today podcast, the Football Today podcast, NBA Australia, NFL Australia, and this one is obviously right there. So get right around it. In fact, get it right around it like Tony Plugger Lockett around a bit of petrol station sushi. Tell you what, 1994.
That wouldn't have been good for the stomach.
Would have knocked out for 4 weeks back then. Tell you what, he's pulled a hammy. Yeah, maybe he's spewing his guts up. But anyway, that's it. We'll catch you later this week for more AFL Today. Until then, look after yourselves, would you? And remember, footy's back.